Hey guys, welcome to the KFO Show. Darren here at Wendell Fishing. You can check me out here on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, even though I don't like it. But hey guys, we got a good lineup for you. I got Dustin Fitzpatrick coming to us from Connecticut. You can check him out on YouTube. He is the Salty Hunter, and we're going to be talking about a bunch of things: saltwater kayak fishing, how to catch. We're talking about albies. We're talking about blackfish, stripers, all the stuff you can catch up in the Long Island Sound, which is a place you don't get a lot of videos coming out of, in my opinion. At least I haven't seen a whole lot of those. And so, Dustin, content creator, YouTuber, influencer, whatever, whatever you want to call yourself. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, Darren, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time. I don't know a lick about saltwater fishing. I mean, I grew up here in the Midwest. You are probably 8 or 9 hours from me. But I love learning new things. And this is what Kayak Fishing Obsessed is all about, really, is for us to come together as kayak anglers and try to figure out things we don't know and be better at it and kind of level up our game. And so tell me really quick, you do have a YouTube channel, and I got a question for you. Why did you start that bad boy?
I started it because I felt like when I wanted to learn about saltwater fishing, I had to go to so many different places. Excuse my cat. I had to go to so many different places to try to figure out exactly what I needed to do to catch the fish that I wanted to catch. So, I was on, this website and that website and reading these different people's blogs. I was doing all of this work to try to figure out how to catch these fish. And once I, kind of sorted it out, I said, I want to show people how to do this and make it easy for them.
Right.
So that it's not, a pain in the neck to figure out how to catch these fish. It's just, get this plug, go on this type of day and figure out the conditions that you want. You can go and catch these fish. And so that's really what inspired me to do it, because I felt like that it didn't need to be so hard to figure out how to actually go fishing and have fun. And
yeah. Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
So, I mean, there were a few channels for me that did a really great job of kind of explaining how to do the things, but
Right.
I felt like it was just like so much work to put it all together. So I said, I bet you I could put this together in a format that people can digest and take with them, for somebody that even if they're not super passionate about fishing, if they just want to just go fishing like, once a month or once every 2 months and, kind of figure it out. So I wanted to present it in a way that, made sense for people, that, made fishing easy, because, it's a fun thing to do.
Right. So YouTube is kind of like really unforgiving at the beginning of starting a channel. I mean, you don't get really a whole lot in return for a good year until you get monetized. I'm not sure where you're at in that whole journey. What keeps you kind of motivated? Because people, you not only have to be good at fishing, right? Because you need the content to be able to show people, hey, I know what I'm doing. But then you got to turn around, and it's just like at the end of a movie where you have all these credits that go on for hours. Like, it's your name for every single one of them, right?
Right.
So, and it creates an incredible amount of work on the backside to try to make these shows and get these, a 6-7 minute video, or to hours upon hours upon hours. What keeps you motivated to keep those going? Yes, you're teaching people. Are you getting good feedback from what you're doing? And what other channels did you watch when you were kind of getting started?
Okay, so let me go in reverse here, answer your questions backwards. But I think if you haven't watched John Skinner fishing, John Skinner is he's the YouTube fisherman to watch if you're interested in catching fish in Long Island Sound. That's where I learned probably 90% of everything I know about fishing. And he's just great. He's striped bass, fluke, blackfish, weak fish. I mean, he is the Long Island Sound fisherman. So I started watching him, and I think that's what kind of made the light bulb go off, so that I was able to say, okay, I think I can go do this. I think I can go find these fish and figure out where they are. So he was the first YouTuber that I started watching, and then I watch a lot of other channels like Salt Strong.
Yep.
Which is, they're really big. They do a lot of southern fishing. So, I just watched a lot of these channels, but I think, despite the monetization, which actually I will say I'm not monetized yet.
Okay. I
And
have you. Still putting out content for
yeah,
free.
exactly.
And
You know, I think I would still do this if I weren't monetized,
yeah.
just because I enjoy it, and I think I have something to offer in terms of here's how you can simplify this, and here's how you can make this fun, and just sitting down and like grinding through those videos. It's sometimes it's stressful because I'm always sitting back thinking like, okay, Monday's coming or Tuesday's coming, and I don't have a video out yet. Um, but I sit down and I do it, and it's fun. And I'm able to share a fishing trip with people, so that really makes it worth it.
Yeah, right. I love it. Well, have you ever met? I mean, the Long Island Sound, that thing's 1,800 square miles of fishing. You ever met any of the guys that you follow up there?
I have, yeah, and I know you mentioned earlier you were looking for somebody that you might want to interview in the future.
Yeah.
Dan from Fishing Accomplished.
Okay.
He's in New York. He fishes the also the Western Sound, and yeah, there have been a couple of other guys that are in this like Western Long Island Sound area. But like I said, there's only 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and I watch these guys, and it's pretty cool to see like local fishermen up here doing what I'm trying to do.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
like you said, there's only a few of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, we got some. Let me see here. Got some people saying here. What's this guy? Slinder's an amazing guy. Striper and Flute God. I come from Beetle Buns. Awesome. Hey, if you're on, you got a question for us, go ahead and write question in the chat section so I can kind of see that, and we'll be able to ask Salty Hunter here, Dustin. I'll be able to answer that for you. Or if you got one for me, we'll do that as well. So this is a kayak fishing channel, and I know you got a kayak. So I want to hear all about. Tell us about your kayak rig, your setup, why you have it set up the way you do. I believe you have a Hobie. Is that correct?
I do, yeah. I have a Hobie.
All right.
My wife bought my Hobie for me.
Oh, come on now. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
she knew I wanted to get into kayak fishing. She did all the research for me, and she bought the perfect kayak. I will say my my brother-in-law has it's an Old Town Salty PDL 120, I believe.
Okay.
And that's probably the comparable kayak in that kind of like $2,000 price range.
What do you got? You got a Hobie what?
Yeah, so mine is a Hobie Passport 12.5.
Okay.
So it's a pedal drive. It doesn't have reverse.
What?
I know.
I mean, it is the Long Island Sound, but for a guy who fishes lakes all the time, not having reverse, and that's the only thing it drives me crazy about Hobie is that it's not instant reverse.
I know,
I
exactly.
just don't know if I can go from instant reverse to not having it, and so I don't know. Tell me, do you love it? And tell me what's one thing that you hate about it if you had to pick one thing.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I really love the Hobie. For the intermediate price range, $2,000 for the Passport. It's a really great kayak. But I will say, they're like Harley Davidson. They want you to spend $4,000 or $5,000 on their product, and then every other add-on isn't. It's like another it's like another $300 for everything. So that I feel that way about Hobie, but I will say, yeah, that not having reverse is probably it's the worst thing about it, because when I'm out there blackfishing, I'm under these big piers, I'm under docks, and I want to go in reverse. I want to kick myself back a little bit. I can't do that. I have to dig the oar out and push myself.
Oh no, you have a pedal drive, and to go backwards, you breaking out the oar.
Exactly.
Hey, you know what? There's an upgrade in your future sometime, somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now that's probably what, a 75-pound kayak with a bear.
It's 85. Yeah.
85. There you go. All right. All right. I have a Native Slayer Propel 10, which is just a roto molded. I think it's 65 pounds bear. It's one of the lightest ones they make. It's only 10 foot long, but instant reverse on the pedal drive. Oh, I love it so much. What I don't love is always getting caught with a ridiculous amount of weeds.
Right.
It's my issue up here in Northeast Ohio. Just nonstop getting myself into muck and having to change that thing out, especially around like July when everything's in full bloom. And you might not have an issue with that. You're fishing. I think I watched one of your videos, and you start out shallow, but you're going out the ledges that were what, 40, 50, 60 feet deep.
Yeah, typically.
All right, walk me around. Walk us. Probably the majority of us no clue what Long Island Sound really is, or kind of the makeup of it. So to kind of bring some context to the rest of our conversation about the fish you're kind of catching that bad boy, paint us a picture.
Okay, so it really starts with spring. April is really your first month that you're going to want to start fishing. Blackfish or tog opens up in April, and that's usually the first fish that I start targeting. And you're going to want to be in, I mean, you can catch them in anywhere from 15 to 30 feet of water.
Right.
But they're like a cold water fish, right? So like right now in November, this is tog season too. So this is going to be tog season, I think, goes to November 30th. So we're still going to be fishing these guys till the end of the year, till the end of the month anyway. But in April, we have an open season as well. And it's that same type of climate where you've got 45 to 55 degree water. So typically when you see me out in the sound in the spring, that's what I'm doing first, is I'm going after these blackfish.
Okay.
And
so pause real fast. Walk me through just focus on the blackfish. Like what lures would you use? All this stuff. Take a deep dive for me.
Sure. Yeah. So blackfish, I think a lot of guys will say they use clams for them. They'll use some guys even use squid for them. But I think the best thing to use for blackfish are crabs.
Was that the thing I saw in one of your shorts where you're lifting up rocks and just grabbing them with your glove?
Yeah, exactly.
I watched that video like 5 times in a row. I was like, what in the world?
Yeah. Exactly.
Looks like awesome bait.
Yeah. So no, that's the first thing we do as soon as the snow melts, as soon as things get warm, is we go blackfishing.
All right.
And you just flip rocks. If you've got like any shoreline along, in the Northeast, you flip these rocks over at low tide, and you'll find these. It's an invasive species, but there's these Asian shore crabs. And
that's what those are. Like you flipped a rock and like 100 of them just went scattering.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. I wish I had that video. Anyway, go check him out. It's one of his shorts. You can check him out. Just lifting rocks and just grabbing Asian shore crabs. I didn't even know those existed till this moment.
Yeah. And I mean, you're only going to catch, 15, 20% of what you see because they're super fast. But, you get in there, you scoop them up, you get them, you put them in a bucket. And they're like such a native species that, the blackfish, they're very used to having them as a part of their food source. So you can use the Asian crabs, or you can do green crabs are really popular as well. Which is, again, another native species. You can't catch them as easily, but guys will go to bait shops and they'll buy green crabs. Like if you walk into a bait shop in the Northeast and you say, I'm going black fishing and I want crabs, you're going to get green crabs. So they're a little bit bigger. But I actually have a jig here from Wetside Tackle, it's a company that I use exclusively for blackfish. And it's just, this one is a 2 ounce. So it's just a weight with a hook. And, I'll put 2, maybe 3 Asian crabs on that hook hole. You just drop it down. It sits on the bottom, and you just wait for, a tap, tap, tap. You'll feel one slight tug.
Pull it, right?
Yeah, a little bit bigger than the others, and you set the hook. So that's what we're doing in the spring. That's really, that's what lights it up here in the Long Island Sound.
All right. We have Brian that said, I went fishing for blackfish, OC Maryland at the inlet, used green crabs for bait and bolts for sinkers due to the fishing in the rocks.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Love it.
Yeah, that's common too. A lot of guys will use just like a dropper rig. They'll throw I know in freshwater they use dropper rigs a lot too, but in saltwater we'll tie a like a bank sinker to the bottom of your line, and then a hook maybe a foot above it, and you can put same kind of thing. You just put the crab on the hook, you drop it down, and it works just as well. So, I prefer jigs, but I mean you can do it both ways.
Why do you use that company only?
So I started using.
Are they buddies?
Yeah, no.
Oh, there you go.
They are buddies. Wetside Tackle, they are buddies. But I've never actually met the guy in person. I've only used his jigs, and I used a handful of other companies before him, and I found that my hooks were getting dull really quickly. I'd catch 2 or 3 fish, and then I had dull hooks. And he sent me a sample pack of these jigs, and they're Mustad Ultra Points.
Oh yeah.
And, I just find that they stay sharp for a really, I can get through a dozen fish, and these hooks are still like razors. And they also glow. I have a custom color that is the glow crab guts. You should definitely check these out. They glow in the dark, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, blackfish can't see very well. They mostly rely on their scent for figuring out where bait is. So anytime you can add a little bit of glow or a little bit of flash to your bait, it definitely helps. So
all right. I've been kind of goofing around. Well, it's kind of getting toward the end of my season. It hurts a little bit to even think about. But I was goofing around with some glow in the dark baits toward the end for bass. I was having a little bit of luck with them. Some jigs I was running, but we had last week the long lures on the show, and they're talking. They have this one lure. They're saying, for us, 15, 20 feet, that's pretty deep in some of the lakes from up here in Northeast. And so once you get down that deep, though, not a lot of light getting down there. And so they're saying they have a lot of luck with their glow in the dark lures. I'm like, you know what? I need to try that out come spring. Some of those deeper areas of the lakes that I fish, because it might just be, it's a lot of time. It's just that little nuance of glow, or like you said, like that flash. We put tiny spinners on our crankbaits, willow leaf blades that might only be ½ inch, just to get that little extra. They get those bass to bite up here in the Northeast. So I totally understand what you're talking about there.
Yeah, it really is amazing, like how much of a small change will make the biggest difference.
Yeah. All right. Let me see here. All right, we got some questions going back to when we were talking about our YouTube channels. This one comes in from JC Travels. Hey fellas, any advice on getting started on YouTube? I moved to Baja, California, where the saltwater fishing is year round, and I have an autopilot 136. Right on. Get yourself a yak. Love it. As someone, share a little bit about your YouTube channel, kind of how many subs you got, how many views you got, and so that kind of gives some context to your answer, and I'll answer it as well.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm very new on YouTube. I've only been doing this for, since I think July this year. So I'm less than 6 months in. So I would definitely say just keep putting content out, no matter what you're doing. Like, you're going to learn from everything that you put out. So every new video that you make, despite whether it gets, 10 views or 50 views or 100 views, like, it doesn't matter. Just keep putting that content out, pay attention to that content, and see what you can learn from it. See how people respond to it. And, above all else, make yourself happy with that content. Make sure it's something that makes you proud and that you enjoy. And if you think that it's serving the purpose, then, just keep putting that out, because that's what the YouTube algorithm wants. It's looking for you to put out content on a regular basis. So if you can keep doing that, eventually you're going to get there, I think.
Yeah. JC, I'll answer this for you. And you also said, hey, you watch all my vids from a home state? All right, Ohio, my man.
Yeah.
Always love guys from a home state. JC, I've been doing this since January of 2020. And you're first or your worst, right? I always say you got to be. I follow this guy, Think Media. If anybody asks me ever how do you grow a YouTube channel, I always send them over to Think Media. And I was like, do exactly what they say, and you'll grow your YouTube channel. They always say you got to be a disaster before you're the master. And so your first 100 videos, they're gonna suck. They're just gonna suck. And I'm sorry about that, Dustin. You're not even through your first 100 videos, but you get to the end of them and you'll be like, "Oh, those are so cringe." You'll look back on them and be like, "Oh, I can't believe it," but I can't believe where I'm at now. And Brandon, Do Outdoors, he just said, "Here we go." Wendell just made a video of 90 shorts in 30 days. So I did an experiment, because shorts are crazy right now, right? And so YouTube is really, they've absolutely killed my longer form videos. And they're only really pushing shorts right now to compete with TikTok and all the reels. Everybody knows this, no surprise. There's a short shelf every swipe, it seems like, when you're on a YouTube platform. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll play the game. You got to play by their rules, right? We're using a free platform that YouTube provides for us. And so I'm going to go all in on shorts for 30 days. I'll do one in the morning, one in the evening, and one in the afternoon. I'll just go hard at it. So if I remember my numbers correctly, and you can go watch the video, it's one of my recent videos if afterwards to get the more details on it. But essentially what the results were, I had a baseline the month prior to doing this. And my baseline was I had like 8,900 hours of watch time and 106,000 views. And after the 1 month of posting 3 shorts a day, I had 1.1 million views. But here's the key. Only 9,000 watch hours. I only grew by 100 hours of watch time, but 1.1 million. But my subscribers went from like 1,000 to 3,200. So if you're a young creator, this is my advice to you: shorts right now. Create shorts, mini shorts, because they're giving away reach right now because they have more people consuming shorts than they have shorts available, and it won't always be that way. So if you want to grow your subscriber base really quickly, run your shorts, dial that way of content creation in until they change your algorithm back up again and kind of really start pushing their longer form content. And I relent. That was quite the run on there. But hey, let's take it back to Dustin here. Dustin, blackfish, talked about that a little bit. Tell us about, I saw a video, you said, tell me how you catch albies. What are they? First, and I guess there's a short amount of time frame because those things, they're migratory, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Walk us through these.
So where I am in the Western Sound, we get albies for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like that's all you get. So you have to be waiting for them. You have to be here to catch them when they get here. But I remember I asked my buddy the other day. I was like, "Why are albies called albies?" And it's short for false albacore. And he's like, what he told me was it's not an albacore tuna, it's a false albacore tuna, and it's a false albacore tuna because it tastes like crap. You don't want to eat it. So that's what he said to me. They're also known as little tunnies. But yeah, it's essentially, it's like a species of tuna, but it's also kind of like a mackerel. So it's kind of a cross between the two. And but if you were to look at one, you're like, okay, that looks like a little tuna. So that's essentially what they are. And they're just they're one of those game fish that we get here in Long Island Sound that's just an absolute blast to catch because they I think pound for pound they fight harder than any other game fish you're going to find in the Northeast.
All right.
And a lot of guys come out and they'll catch them on flies, which is I've not
fly
done
fishing.
Yeah, exactly. The fly fishing,
right.
Which is that's a whole nother ball game. But even for when we're throwing jigs for them, it's they're hard to catch. You really have to know where they're going to be. And if you watch my videos, you'll see that it looks like the water's boiling when you find them. But if you come up on them too quickly in your boat, they're going to disappear. Yeah, they're gone. That's one of the advantages of albie fishing from a kayak is that you've got stealth on your side, so you can get up on them. And
how do you locate them? Is it like you just look out for the birds and bait fish and all that stuff? How do you get on them?
Yeah, that's really the way to do it. Is you want to be looking for birds diving on bait, and you want to just be watching the surface of the water. It's really hard to find the fish on a day where if you've got wind over 10 miles per hour and if it's a little bit choppy on the surf, like you're not going to see them really well. But I remember a day and I think it was mid-September we were out and, it was like glass in Long Island Sound. And, we would look around and we would see a blitz pop up. And the water just looked like it was boiling. So we would go over to that. We'd catch a couple of fish. We'd get them to the boat. And then, we'd all look at each other and be like, okay, which one do we go to now? And you would just see these blitzes all around. So you kind of have to chase them. They're one of those fish that you can't just like blind cast for. You got to really know that they're
really get on them. Huh. So you're not catching these things from the shore anywhere. You got to go out.
No, you can do it from the shore. I wouldn't say to do it from the shore where I'm at in Connecticut.
Right.
But there's a lot of places in off of Long Island, if you're closer to the ocean, or in eastern Connecticut, a lot of guys will go out to the shore because, there's still straggler albies available up in Stonington, Connecticut, and up near the mouth of the Sound. Guys are up there right now catching them every day. But where I'm at, they never came that close because, and let me explain where I am in the Long Island Sound. It's interesting.
All right.
But so the ocean water flows into Long Island Sound on the New York side.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at a map, you'll see New York down here, and it flows in. And then you've got the pocket of the Sound. That's where the dirtiest water is. And we've also got a lot of freshwater runoff from the rivers that we have.
Okay.
So in that pocket, we've got diluted salt content, and we've got murky, dirty, polluted water. And then as it flows out on the Connecticut side, that it starts to clean up a little bit, and you get an increased salt content and things get better. So basically what I usually tell people is that the further west you are in the Long Island Sound, the worse the fishing is. The further east you go, the better it is.
Got it. Clean water.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm further west. So everything for me is it's a little bit shorter time frame in terms of albies. Like I said, I think we had them for maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, and then they were gone.
Yeah, if you go on vacation, you missed them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're very short amount of time.
Is there a way to like track them? Do they track these fish so you can kind of see when they're rolling through? Is there a way to track?
So there's a lot of efforts going on right now in terms of tracking the migratory patterns of albies, because we don't know a lot about albies in terms of a species. You can catch albies down in Florida, and to this day, we're actually not sure if it's the same species of fish. So they're tracking these fish. They're trying to figure out what the migratory patterns of these fish are. So, on a regular basis, there's programs happening right now where you can tag these fish, you can release them, and we try to figure out, like, is this fish going to wind up in Florida? Is it not going to? Is it the same species? So, I mean, we really, in terms of all species of fish that we have here, I think albies is probably one of the one that we know least about in terms of where they're going to show up. But I just call my buddies. I'm like,
yeah,
are the albies coming in? Like, are they here yet?
You have a bunch of buddies. You have a bunch of buddies who have boats. See,
Right.
I see your kayak fishing videos. You're like, oh, I'm out in my buddy's boat. And every time I watch a different video, it's a different buddy's boat.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's it's a really big plus. It certainly gets me on fish. I always say to people, like, if you want to catch fish, buy a boat. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because surf fishing and kayak fishing, it puts an increment of challenge into the entire experience that, if you had a boat, wouldn't be there, because you can just find the fish. So
right. So we talked just a little bit, not a whole lot, but you've done it all, right? You've done the surf, the wade fishing, all that, right?
Yeah, that's how I started out. Actually, I was doing surf fishing.
And then your wife felt bad for you and bought you a Hobie.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
if my wife is listening upstairs, I just want to, just throw that out there.
Right. Give her the extra
Christmas is around the corner, and there could be a new kayak in my future. So I don't fish anywhere up where you fish. Walk me through the difference between, like, obviously wade fishing. How far can you get out where you're at?
So you can get out probably 150, 200 feet.
Oh, all right. That's more significant than I thought.
Yeah, no, you can cover ground. I use it's a 10-foot 9-inch Tsunami Saltex. And I've got it paired with a Van Staal VS 200.
Yeah, you could have made something up, anything right now, and said it, and I would have believed you.
No, it's cool. But yeah, it's like a surfcaster setup.
Got it.
So it's what these guys are going after. If they're like, we need to cover distance, we need to reach these fish. They're not running along the lip of the beach or like right close. We got to figure out how to reach them.
Are you one of those guys who like sends them out on drones or shoots them out in ice?
I wish I had a drone. But no, there are totally guys. You'll see guys all the time on the beach that they'll tie their bait up on a drone and they'll just send it, right? And
I need to see. I have a drone up here. See it up there? There it is.
Oh yeah.
I need to get that thing working for me. Not super helpful. I usually can reach all the places I need to go.
Yeah.
All right. So walk. Oh, sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, I was just, surf fishing here in the Northeast is really it's kind of a cult. It's kind of, it's its own thing. And if you're into it, there's a few rules that you follow, but, it's hard fishing. There's some like really specific gear that you have to do it. But, it's rewarding when you hook into a 30-pound striper.
Ooh.
It pays off.
Yeah, that's a sleigh ride right there. That's what I call those. Oh man, that's awesome. All right, JC had a question. You've just It's Dustin. I have a lisp, so I might have said Justin. Dustin, right?
Cool.
Yeah, Salty Hunter. And check him out over there. Also, Brandon. I thought this was interesting. He's gone 8 miles offshore in his Old Town 132. That's pretty far out.
That is. That's like
I
twice
mean,
as far as I've ever gone.
man, that is he has a motor. I've talked to him before. I think he has multiple motors. Do you have a motor on yours?
I don't know. I don't. I can go like 4 or 5 miles per hour. That's my max.
That's pretty fast. I
Yeah.
didn't realize how fast those what do they call those mirage
Yep.
pedal things. All right.
Although
Well,
I was talking to a friend recently who he was interested in getting the Old Town Autopilot, which
yeah.
I'm also like interested in for the Minn Kota and the spot lock and all of the great features that it offers. But he told me that he said I only get about 3.5 miles per hour, and that my heart kind of sank when I heard that, because I was like, you spend like $3,000 on a kayak plus $1,000 on a battery and your extra stuff, and it's like you can only go 3 miles an hour.
Yeah, I want to go 5 to 6. That's what I feel like a motor in a kayak should be able to take you, and not burn your battery. Should be able to go out for a good fishing trip.
Right. Like I can't chase albies at 3 miles an hour. Like I gotta be able to move.
You always be looking at them just over the next couple hundred yards.
Right.
Oh man. All right, you catch more than albies. Walk me through fluke, bluefish. I've seen some videos of you doing you catching some of those. No, not fluke. What am I talking? Flounder. Flounder is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Up here in the Northeast, we call them fluke.
Right.
But it's a summer flounder.
Got it.
I've gotten in arguments with people about this, so I'm just going to say it right now. It's a summer flounder. We call them fluke, but it's totally a flounder.
All right. How do you get those? Because that's the video I kind of watched recently of you hopping in your kayak, going 30, 45 minutes before you can actually even start fishing. So that's bizarre to me too, because I'm usually at my spot in 10 minutes or less. But walk me through how you identify where they're at, what you use. Take a deep dive for me.
Okay, so let me preface this by just saying that fluke fishing is my favorite fishing of any saltwater species. So I probably put more work into figuring out how to do this than I need to.
All right.
But when I go out, I've learned that fluke, they're very opportunistic feeders. So they're staging up in areas and they're waiting for bait to come by. They're not super predatory like bass or bluefish, where they're covering a lot of ground, right? So they stage up in areas, they wait for bait fish, squid, spearing, whatever you have locally to come by. So what I normally do to figure out where they're at is I'll just look at there's an app that I use called Navionics.
Okay.
And Navionics will show you the bottom structure of any given area that you're in. And I will just look for any areas that have contours. So I'll give you an example. There's one spot I like to fish that's got a really nice contour from about 15 to 40 feet down.
All right.
You've got
over how long?
Yeah, so you've got like a nice ledge, and then that ledge will continue for, call it 100, 200 yards.
Okay.
So it's a really nice drop off, and it creates what I consider a really nice drift. And for catching these fluke, moving is extremely important. Like moving at the right speed. If you're just drift fishing and you're not moving, you're not going to catch them because you're not covering any ground. You've got to be constantly moving. So it's just one of those things for me that like I spent so much time figuring out. You've got to have the wind, you've got to have the weather, you've got to have the tide moving in the right direction. So I'll get out there on the water, I'll put myself on the spot, and I'll say, okay, I've got a 0.7 mile an hour drift. I'm
Okay.
moving southwest, and I'll find my ledge, and I'll put myself in a spot where the current and the wind are going to push me in the direction across that ledge that I want to be.
How long is this ledge?
Like I said, it could be 100, 200 yards.
Okay, you don't have a lot of room here. That you're over the you're through that prime fishing spot in a short amount of time. Then.
Yeah, exactly. You'll have like 5 minutes
Okay.
about, and then and that's the amazing thing about pedal kayaks is like once you hit the end of it, move yourself back up, drift it again. But you find these spots that you want to drift fish, and for fluking, I always use a bucktail. I'll tie on a bucktail. I'll put a teaser above it, and I use gulp. I'll put a gulp, like a 4-inch gulp grub on the bucktail, and then I'll put either a 4-inch gulp grub or a swimming mullet on the teaser. And I think the really key thing about catching fluke is just to have lots of action on that rig. You want it to be moving. You want it to be exciting for those fish to see. The traditional method of catching fluke here, at least in the Sound, would be guys will just drift squid.
Okay.
And they'll basically troll it, and it works.
Do you pop it or just let it run?
Yeah, a lot of guys will let it run. I remember the first time my uncle ever took me fluke fishing, which was probably like 15 years ago. He would just put a strip of squid on a hook, and he would just troll it along the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how a lot of guys would catch fluke. And I know I mentioned John Skinner in the beginning of this video, but again, his video has really changed the way I thought about it. I've seen a lot of underwater footage about how fluke will react to a bait that's moving and has a lot of action, as opposed to a piece of squid that's just moving across the bottom. They're much more interested in that really rapid action.
Right.
So that's the method that I employ, and I'll find a ledge, I'll find structure, I'll make sure that I've got wind and current moving me in the right direction, and I just bounce that along the bottom, and I'll move along, and I'll continue that rapid action, and the fluke just can't resist it. So
when you're popping, it's just like pop, 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 like that kind of cadence.
3 times faster.
Oh, really? Pop, 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 pop. All right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, you'll have, I don't have a bucktail here, but yeah, you'll have a bucktail on the bottom and then a teaser above it, maybe a foot or so.
Okay.
And those guys are just like,
just going crazy, 2 of them.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of action on that. So they're really bouncing along the bottom, and those gulp grubs, they've got, curly tails on them. Yeah. So you've got a lot of action coming out of those tails. And, you want that thing to be moving. And, every now and then, if you're not getting hits, every 60, 90 seconds or so, we typically will give the rod a lift, let it drop back down, but then we start jigging again.
Okay.
It's a pretty rapid jigging motion. A lot different than a lot of other types of fishing, but that's, in my experience, that's how we target fluke, and, works really well for us.
Yeah. So when you take teaser, it's not something usually we use in the bass fishing world. What's a teaser? What saltwater teaser? What's that?
So a teaser is just a hook that you've got tied. If you were to tie like a dropper rig, you've got a hook or a jig or whatever at the bottom. A teaser you would tie about a foot above it, and you've just got another hook with another piece of bait on it.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. So if you had, basically you have 2 hooks on a rig. So we'll drop that rig down, and you've got, 2 baits about a foot apart. And sometimes you can catch 2 fish that way.
What do they usually hit the teaser or the main?
It's about 50-50.
Really? All right.
Yeah, it's about 50-50. If it's further in one direction than the other, you're doing it wrong. So it should be about 50-50. Yeah, that's the whole point of the teaser. And the reason for having a teaser is that fluke are sitting on the bottom, and the eyes of the fluke are on the top of the head.
Right.
So if you're too close to the bottom, if you're just bouncing along the bottom here, those fluke might not see that jig there, because they're exactly. They're looking up, right? So the teaser is going to grab their attention. And I've had so many instances where a fluke, I will foul hook them from the bottom, hook them in the side or hook them in the belly or
They were
whatever.
jumping at your teaser and you got them with your main.
Because they're watching teaser. So yeah, exactly. If you see like underwater footage of how fluke are, they'll just sit there and they'll wait for things to come by. So if your bottom jig happens to be too low, they're not going to see it. They're going to see your teaser. So that's the whole idea of that.
I mean, Brandon's loving this. Okay, run a teaser. Got it, noted. Dang, that never occurred to me. Loving it. He did ask the question, what color is your favorite bucktail gulp combo?
White.
Brandon's up in Maine, I believe, and you grew up in Maine, right?
I did, yeah.
All right.
I grew up, it's not a very good fishing area, but it's the last exit on 95 before you get to Canada. So I'm all the way north. And but anyway, no, if you want, my favorite color is white.
Okay.
White is right, day or night.
Oh, like it. There you go.
That's what we always say. But no, I'll use a white bucktail. And if I want to change the color of the presentation, I'll typically use gulp to add that. I like nuclear chicken. I like curry chicken. I'll use pink shine. And just to add a little bit of additional color to that hook, I'll use the gulp to do that. But typically the bucktail that I use is white.
All right. Well, what I have for you now is something I like to call the lightning round. 5 questions, and one-word answers are only allowed.
Okay.
Here we go. How many times a week do you fish?
5.
5? Holy, we're coming back to that. If you could only fish with one lure the rest of your life, what would it be?
Top knock.
All right, we'll come back to that. Favorite time of the year to fish?
Spring.
All right. What is your favorite YouTube channel out there?
John Skinner.
Wrong answer. We're gonna keep moving. We'll come back to that. Do you like YouTube Shorts?
Yes.
Do you like creating YouTube Shorts?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna come back here. 5 times a week. Is this you full time? What's going on?
No, I'm not full time.
Do you literally get out 5? You live on the water or something?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do like a 5-minute drive from the ocean.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Exactly. Like I went out today. I'm learning to fly fish.
Okay.
I know nothing about fly fishing. I'm terrible at it. But a good friend of mine is like, you got to learn to fly fish. Like catching striped bass on flies is amazing. So like today from like 12:30 to 1:30, I snuck out. I had it. I had some time. I drove 5 minutes to the water, working on my fly cast. But yeah, I'm really close. So if I want to take an hour, 2 hours to go fishing, I'm lucky to be able to do it.
Yeah, I love it. If you guys got a question for Dustin, and if you haven't done it yet, please help me out. Hit that like button. Helps these videos get a bunch of replays. We'll have 20, 30 people on the show at any given time, but then we'll get hundreds and hundreds of replays. So help me out. Hit that down there. All right. I had a couple other questions I wanted to bounce around here. What did you say? One fish. If you only fish with one lure, what did you say?
I said top knock.
What? No. What's that?
So that's the Yozuri top knock.
Okay.
I think Yozuri is pretty common in freshwater, right?
I mean, I see them in some of the specialty shops. This is a Japanese company, correct?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
They got some nice lures, solid hooks. As far as I only have one shop. It's Fin, Feather, and Fur here in town. It actually sells Yozuri. Yeah.
Yep. So this is my I like to call it my trust bait. It's what I throw. It's almost like my fish finder.
Okay.
If I'm looking for bass or bluefish, and I'm not exactly sure where they might be staged up, this is what I'll throw. And the primary bait fish we have here, where I fish anyway, is bunker. And it just does a really good job of imitating that bunker profile. And it's a spook. You walk the dog with it, and it does its thing, just like any other spook you might use. And it just catches fish. It's the first thing out of my surf bag when I walk to the ocean and I throw a plug. This is what I'm throwing. It's 1 ounce. It casts really well. It'll cut through wind. It just like, this is my favorite plug. If I want something a little bigger,
Real quick, do the knocker on that thing. That thing's huge.
Yeah, exactly.
I see the ball bearing in there.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So that doesn't rotate. That's just it's a solid piece. It looks like the back rotates, but I don't know why it would, because
no, it's a solid plug. But I think what makes this really well is they have a patent on this system, and there's actually a magnet in here that holds that ball to the center, right? But when you cast, that ball, it goes towards the butt of the plug, so it shoots like a rocket, so you can get a lot of distance. And then when it hits the water, the magnet will pull that ball back to the center, and you get a really good action on the plug.
Oh,
So,
I've never seen that before. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, so that's my favorite plug. I think I've destroyed more of these than I can count, but
they look really cheap too.
Yeah, they're like $10.
How often do you lose a lure on a fish?
So this year I've lost two.
All right, that's good.
Two. The
first one was like 2 a trip.
No. It's not that often. This plug actually almost was lost. I had a bluefish come up and take it, and it bit the leader.
Okay.
So then my plug was just floating in the water. I didn't see it. I knew that I was screwed. I was like, it bit me off. My buddy who was over in a kayak next to me was like, I see your plug. I was like, no way. He's like, yeah, it's floating there.
Yeah, the odds of that were in 1,800 miles of open water, pretty low.
So I paddled up and I pulled my plug out of the water, and it was good to go. But and then another lure that I'll use is this is actually a local company. It's Game On, and it's a really similar plug. It's just like spook style, right? So again, for me, it's another trust bait. It's like, I know that these work. I know that these elicit strikes from fish, and at least in my experience, if there's fish willing to feed and you can put this in front of them, they'll take it. So again, it's pretty similar to the Ozeri. This one's a little bit heavier. So if I'm looking for a larger presentation, this is what I'll throw. It's
got a lot more rattles in it too. I can see the ball bearings in there.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, it's a little noisier.
Loud. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So
you feel like you were just sitting in a box of lures. What else you got down there? I'm curious now.
And then this is my favorite for springtime. This is a pencil popper.
Oh yeah.
Which is this is 2.7 ounces, and this is probably my best casting lure. I remember I mentioned earlier that if you're trying to cast from shore, you want to cover distance, 200 feet, 250 feet. This is typically what I'll throw to do it, because the only thing that casts better than a pencil popper, in my opinion, is a tin, a metal lure. Tin is just kind of shorthand for any sort of metal, picture a daredevil, but then add 4 ounces to it.
Got it.
That's what we'll call a tin. But this is the pencil popper, and it's got a pretty specific retrieve in terms of how you bring this thing in. But it just dances on top of the water and mimics a fleeing bait fish, and striped bass and bluefish. It doesn't matter what color it is, I don't think, in my opinion.
Okay.
They just see that action on top of the water. They think it's some sort of wounded fish and will come after it. So the pencil popper is definitely the first thing out of my bag. But then I'll throw a spook also, which is a little bit more of a subtle retrieve.
Okay.
It's less of a panicked retrieve, I guess. It's a little more subtle. It swims along. It's more smooth. But yeah, between a pencil popper and a spook, I think if you're trying to catch striped bass or bluefish from the shore, or even from a kayak or from a boat, really wherever you are, if you're trying to catch them on top water, those are probably the two plugs that you're going to want to have, is a pencil popper or a spook. And then if you're interested in catching really big striped bass, I would say
who isn't interested in catching really big fish, right?
Exactly.
All right, lay it on us.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because there's a handful of things you can do to go catch stripers. And, a few of them are some of the things that I mentioned. But if you want to catch big stripers, you've got to target them because they eat differently. They feed at different times. They're interested in different baits. And then, in terms of artificial baits, this is probably the first thing that I will throw. It's a gravity tackle GT eel,
Okay.
9.5 inches. And really what it's replicating is an American eel. So they see this bait, and I remember a story from John Skinner, and he was fishing on Montauk for striped bass, and he was using live eels, which I think are superior to this. If you have live eels, definitely use live eels because when a bass sees a live eel, they're going to take it, and that's kind of the moral of the story. But he was on Montauk fishing with live eels. He hooked into a bass. He got it to the shore, and he reeled it up. It's like dark. It's nighttime. He got it up to him, and there's a 2-pound bluefish in this bass's mouth.
Whoa, that's awesome.
And he took the eel. And the moral of the story was if you put an eel in front of a fish, even if they're full, they almost can't resist to take it.
All right.
So that's what we'll throw for like really big fish in the spring and in the fall. If we're looking for really large striped bass, we'll throw an eel.
Nice. So I had a question here from Lost in Tackle. That one that had the single tail hook, was that standard or did you modify that?
That was standard. And big shout out to Game On for doing that because striped bass are they're a protected species. You can only keep, we have a slot size here in Connecticut and in New York and in, basically all of the Northeast where you can only keep one if it's 28 to 35 inches. And I will say they are delicious fish, but I try not to keep them as regularly as I will other fish, just because, the population over the last however many years has dwindled. And, we're doing our best to protect them. So anytime that you can use a single hook like this, it's easier on the fish. It's not going to rip the lip as much, and you're just going to have a much better time releasing it. I also crush the barbs on all these hooks, on all of my plugs, so that I do, as minimal damage as possible when I'm releasing the fish. Obviously, like if you're out there fishing, you're going to hurt the fish. There's like no two ways about it. But any less damage that you can do within your control, I think is good. So yeah, these plugs come standard with a single hook. But VMC makes a 5/0 inline hook that works really well to replace a lot of saltwater plugs. So if you want a single hook, you can just get yourself some snap ring pliers, take the treble hook off, and you can put a single hook on there.
Nice. I love VMC hooks as well for bass fishing. VMC, Gamakatsu, Mustad are like my top 3. I'll put those.
Oh, those are the ones. The same.
Yeah,
same
those are the 3. I usually don't touch. I was like, that looks good, but I'm not taking my chances. All it takes is that one story of that one fish that bent out or broke your hook. And I've been saying this on my videos for a long, long time. And I had a lady recently reach out to me, and she's like, I didn't listen to you, and I think I lost a double digit who snapped my cheap hook. And that's double digits don't come around too often for bass. I don't know where she was, if she was, north of the Mason-Dixon or south, but she will. You don't want to have one of those stories that you'll never forget, unfortunately.
No.
So we all do, but if you haven't listened to me, you're still using Eagle Claw or something, and you're targeting big fish, please invest the extra dollar. We're talking dollars. We're rolling around in $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 kayaks, and we're like, I know what? I think I'll save the money on my hooks. Losing your mind. All right, we got Brian. Say what? No, what were you gonna say?
I can't agree with that more because a lot of these plugs, like I was saying, like the plug I was mentioning earlier, the Zuri Top Knock, it comes with absolute garbage hooks and hardware.
Really?
Yeah, there's a picture I put on my Instagram.
Oh, I saw it. It was like mangled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, from a few weeks ago, and I caught a striper on it, and it totally bent the crap out of the hooks, and one of the split rings was totally straightened out. It was just in like really bad shape.
Did you land that fish?
I did land the fish.
All right.
But as soon as I got it in the kayak, I sorted it out. I took the plug off, and I was like, "Oh, bummer! I'm not going to use that for the rest of the day." Um, and it wasn't intentional. I thought I had upgraded everything on it, and I hadn't. And that's just part of the game. But yeah, you definitely want to make sure, depending on like what company you're using, that they're using VMCs or mustads, or we use a lot of owner split rings or owner hooks. You want to make sure you have good hardware, because if it's just like stock stuff from wherever that's not reputable, like you're gonna lose fish.
Yeah. Well, we're coming. Can you believe it? We almost go an entire hour. If you got a question you want to slip in at the 11th hour for Dustin, we'll do that. We got one from Brian here. Brian asked the question: what line do you use with those top water lures?
So I use I typically in the Long Island Sound, I'm almost always using 30-pound J braid for striped bass, bluefish. The only time I ever use like 15-pound is if I'm fluke fishing or porgy fishing, but 30-pound braid, and then I'll tie 2 to 3 feet of 30-pound fluorocarbon.
Right.
And I use an FG knot to attach the braid to the leader. And then I'll just put, again, with top water fishing, they're not going to be able to see a clip or anything like that. So I just I'll attach a tactical angler's clip to the plug, and off I go.
Yeah. All right. Solid question. If you got another question, we'll take a couple more. Dustin, I saw you. How'd you get your wife to go fishing with you?
She, my buddy owns a boat, and he was just like, "Hey, like, let's go fishing." And we had a friend coming and visiting us for the weekend, and we said, I want to make a fishing trip out of it. So
yeah,
got her on the boat, got our friend on the boat, and I'll tell you, she had a lot more fun than she thought she was going to.
She caught first fish.
She did.
Isn't it weird? I feel like you're like, how do you know all this stuff? I just spent like an hour looking at all of Dustin's video. If you're chiming a little bit late here, Salty Hunter, now that you've heard him, this is why I didn't ask you to sub at the beginning. But now that you've heard him, I will ask you to head over there. If you liked what you've heard from him today, give him a sub, watch his stuff, comment. We're a community of fishermen here. And I just love this. Was one of the reasons why I wanted to start this show. I am by no means expert at a lot of different things. That's why I want to bring other people who are really good at what they do and kind of bring their craft to the table and share it with the world. Because man, it's just going to make us all better. And I just absolutely love the community. Anything that you want to share that you feel like you haven't had an opportunity to talk about yet? I am curious. What do you do for a living outside of fish 5 days a week?
I'm an auditor, not for the IRS.
All right.
But I'm an auditor for an independent company, and we do audits on companies that are getting loans from banks. So a bank will hire us to go out and do that. So call me an accountant.
Accountant. All right. How long have you been doing that?
It's about 6 years now.
All right. Yeah. Solid.
But before we run out of time, I did want to ask you, as a saltwater fisherman, I know very little about freshwater fishing. I grew up, I caught pickerel, I caught some, yellow perch and some bluegill and that kind of thing. But I never really had the opportunity to get into it. And I'm interested in getting into it. What would you say I need to do first to start and target larger freshwater fish?
Larger freshwater fish.
I want to go after bass or
bass. I mean, you're probably able to drop a line in just about any lake and find yourself some bass. If you want them in the numbers, and if you're just getting into it, you're like, I really don't know what I'm doing. You just want to put bass in the boat. I always highly recommend breaking out a 5-inch Senko, wacky worm, raking this thing, and just throwing it at every piece of cover and structure and your ledges and your grass lines, and you'll pick up fish in numbers. So if they're not on the top, and I highly recommend also using Gary Yamamoto's, because I believe the salt content, I believe, is around 40% on those Senkos, and just the way they fall, they kind of do this butterfly action as they go to the bottom. And if you buy cheap Senkos, they just fall and there's no action, and it's the action that actually drive those bass crazy.
Right.
And you get a lot. I use it as a target strategy, and I let it hit, and then you just wait 4 or 5 seconds.
And you've got it wacky rigged
right through the center. With the Gary Yamamoto's, being that salt content is so high, they won't last very long unless you put some type of sleeve. So I put shrink wrap sleeve over it. Then I
I
put
saw your
my
video on that, and I thought
yeah.
it was
I mean, I
awesome.
can't tell you how much money I saved, and I haven't noticed any noticeable difference of getting more hits or less hits. So I'm just keeping my bait longer,
Right,
and it gets beat up. And I believe that once a Senko gets more and more beat up, it just drives them more and more crazy. It just looks more injured.
right.
Um, so let it fall. If they don't hit in the next 5 seconds, I usually go tug tug pause, tug tug pause. I do that series of 5 times, and I know people get all riled up. I stop after 5. I have fished the wacky worm style for such a long time, and enough time to notice that after 5 tugs, yes, if I kept tugging into the boat, I could catch fish, but it decreases significantly on the percentage that I can catch it from 5 tugs in. They haven't hit it in the first 5 tugs and pauses. I'm reeling in as fast as I can, and because I'm kind of like one of those fishermen that's it's all about percentages.
Yeah,
And if I can be where the fish are going to be at, so I'll reel it in that last 60% real fast and just keep on moving.
yeah,
And it's worked out for me. And will you catch some big ones on the whack every once in a while? Yeah. I mean, I've caught 3, 4, 5s this past year, which is really good where we're at, right? On the wacky rig. And so, and then if they're not high in the water column, I usually break out a Ned rig
yeah.
for numbers. If you want to start getting larger fish, a lure that I love is the chatterbait, any type of bladed jig. A lot of times, if you watch bass tournaments, this is what these guys are throwing, just bladed jig around docks. Usually, what I'll do with a chatterbait is I'll throw it out, let it sink all the way to the bottom, whether it's going to lay on top of some grass or whatever, and then I rip it out. And a lot of times when I rip it out, I'll get that reaction bite from that bass.
Yeah.
But if I don't, that thing is just creating a significant amount of vibration.
Right. So
And
you're pulling in anything that might be interested.
yes, and using it, especially if you got some cloudy or dirty water. Um, bass they see fairly well, but if it's really murky and they can't see, you want to get their attention in other ways. So I'm throwing usually something that's has a lot of vibration or some rattle to it. But so if you want bigger fish, you know what they say, kind of bigger baits catch bigger fish. You
Right.
just don't get them as often. So if you want to go out for a day and catch some bigs, you got your swim baits. I'm still trying to dial in my spin bait. My swim bait.
Okay.
And I got a river to sea 128. And I've yet to catch a fish on it. I don't have many hours on it yet, and I was using it more toward the fall. I need to break that out during summer. So hopefully I'll dial that in next year because I want to catch some larger bass. I can kill it with the Ned rig and wacky rig, but just about anybody can. It doesn't require an incredible amount of skill. You just got to know a few things
Sure. Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
want the fish in numbers.
That's what
And
I
so,
need. So I'm just gonna.
fish and numbers. All right, that's it. Wacky worm, Ned rig,
Yeah.
and I put that in the hands of someone who's just trying to figure it out, so they actually want to come back and do it. Hey, we got
Yeah.
Brandon over here. He said, "Hey, heck yeah, you got my sub. Love it.
Cool.
Lost and tackle. He recommends a spinner bait.
Bait.
Lost and tackle. Where are you at? I just can't. I can't catch a fish. I mean, I've caught fish on spinner baits, but I usually put it away
I
pretty
saw
quickly.
Lost and Tackle in your last live
Yeah,
as well. Yeah.
yeah.
Lost
He
and
says bladed jigs are good in saltwater. If you've had luck, have you used bladed jigs in saltwater?
Geez, no, we use metal lips sometimes,
All right.
but no blades with spinners. We'll use metal lips, and they're like topwater swimmers. But no, nothing like a spinner.
Oh well, bladed jigs is not a spinner.
Oh, it's not.
No, you check it out after the show.
Okay.
You will just check out chatterbait. There's a variety. The chatterbait's the original bladed jig,
Okay.
and then there's been a variety of different kind of runoffs of that.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I'll
Yeah.
definitely look at a spinner.
All right.
Or
So
bladed
Lost
jig.
and Tackles from South Jersey. All
Gotcha.
right. So you guys are
So-
kind of in the same area up there. So
Yeah, he's
something to
getting
think about.
the fall run right now. That's where all the stripers are.
All right. All right. Beetle Bun says bladed jigs for red drum. Amazing in the marsh. Keith up in the Northeast. He's good luck to spinnerbaits. Guys, I need to bring someone on apparently that knows how to do the spinnerbait very well or knows how to utilize it. I'm trying to find guys out there to bring on the show who where I'm just weak in a lot of areas, and so I have a lot to learn in that regards. But thank you, Keith. Thanks everybody for showing up. I got one last question for you. Who should I invite? And I think you answered this already. Next on the KFO show, I asked this question at the end of every one of my shows, and I've actually started some conversations. So I've been booking into the weeks ahead. And so, who is someone that you would be willing to potentially introduce to me who you think would like this type of thing?
So there are two saltwater fishermen that I know from like my area of the Sound. They're YouTubers. They're excellent fishermen. They catch fish, and they have a lot of perspective that I think would be different than mine. The first one I would say is the channel is called Fishing Accomplished.
Okay. Yep.
His name is Dan. And the second channel that I can think of is Peter Ranieri 2. 2 or 3. I forget if it's 2 or 3, but it's Peter Ranieri. And he's an excellent saltwater fisherman too. So anytime I'm out there looking on YouTube, I'm like who's out here like catching these fish in the Long Island Sound? It's like these are the guys that I see. I've talked to them a couple of times. They're really great dudes, and they absolutely know what they're doing. So Fishing Accomplished, Peter Ranieri, check them out. They have great YouTube channels, and you definitely should invite them on if you're doing another saltwater episode in the future.
Yeah, well, I think we got some good feedback here on this show. So if you guys have not yet done that, please head over to Salty Hunter, give him a sub if you liked what you heard today. If you haven't yet either, please hit that like button. We'll get some more reach out of this replay. But hey, Dustin, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I look forward to the videos that are coming out in the future. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching the show. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you so much.